Welcome back to Horrors Worldwide. Today I'm going to explain an American independent slasher film called Halloween, released in 1978. Spoilers ahead! Watch out and stay safe. The film begins with someone walking toward a house and looking at a girl named Judith Margaret Myers through the front door, kissing her boyfriend passionately. After the boyfriends leave, the unknown man grabs a very sharp knife and enters the girl's room. He spots her sitting in front of her mirror, half naked and brushing her hair. The man walks up behind her and she finally feels his presence. As she recognizes her brother Michael standing next to her with a mask on, Michael raises the knife and begins stabbing her repeatedly in various areas of her body. After a few seconds, she falls to the ground, covered in blood. Swiftly, Michael walks out of the bedroom, down the stairs, and out the front door into the yard, and waits for his parents and the police to finally arrest him. Subsequently, the disturbed psychotic boy was institutionalized for the crime for 15 years in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, observed by quirky psychiatrist Dr. Sam Loomis as a dangerous, isolated patient at the institution. When Michael was about to be transferred at age 21, he kills a nurse there and drives away. Back in Haddonfield, we see a girl named Laurie Strode leaving her house for school. On her way out, her father reminds Laurie about the key she needs to drop at Myers' house for the new buyers to examine it. While Laurie is walking to the Myers' house, a kid named Tommy Doyle catches up to her. When they both reach Myers' house, Tommy freaks out and talks about how the house is rumored to be haunted. Laurie brushes off the rumors as false and drops the keys near the front door, unknowing that the white-masked Michael has returned and is watching her from inside. Throughout the rest of the day, Laurie keeps seeing Michael stalking her out of the corner of her eye. That evening, Tommy is leaving school carrying a large pumpkin, followed by several bullies who are taunting him about how the boogeyman is coming to get him that night. Tommy is confused, not knowing about the boogeyman, but is frightened. Michael follows Tommy alongside in the sanitarium car as he walks sadly and slowly to his house. Meanwhile, on the highway, Dr. Loomis notices a tow truck parked nearby a grassy area, and inside, he finds Michael's white hospital gown. Now Dr. Loomis is sure that Michael is in Haddonfield and rushes back to his car, not noticing the unclothed body of the tow truck driver lying in the nearby grass. Laurie is walking home with her friend Linda and Annie, talking about their babysitting assignments for that night. While they are walking, Laurie sees Michael hiding behind a bush ahead of them. However, Annie doesn't see him, and when Annie rushes over to the bush, there is nobody there. Annie thinks that Laurie is seeing men behind bushes because she is desperate for a date. When Laurie reaches her house, she looks out of the window and sees Michael standing in her neighbor's backyard, staring up at her. Suddenly, the phone rings and Laurie runs over to it. Annie on the other end tells Laurie that she will be picking her up for their babysitting assignments at 6:30 p.m. Laurie hangs up and lies on her bed, trying to console herself. Dr. Loomis arrives at the Haddonfield Cemetery and discovers that Judith's headstone is now missing, which confirms his instinct that Michael is in Haddonfield. With the sheriff of Haddonfield, he comes to Myers' house and waits for his return. Annie drops Laurie off at the Doyle house and pulls into the driveway of the Wallace house, where she is babysitting Lindsay Wallace. That night, when Laurie is sitting on the couch, Tommy asks her what the boogeyman is, but suddenly, the phone rings before she can reply. When she answers the phone, Tommy looks out the window and sees Michael standing next to the Wallace house. He screams for Laurie that the boogeyman is outside, but when Laurie looks out the window, no one is there. After some time, Annie drops Lindsay with Laurie and says she needs to pick up her boyfriend Paul. Laurie is reluctant, but Annie promises her she will be back soon. Just as she sits down in the driver's seat, Michael leaps out from the back seat and slits her throat. Tommy then sees Michael, the boogeyman, carrying Annie's body from the garage into the house, but Laurie dismisses his claim as his imagination, though she pays closer attention to the surroundings. Back at the Wallace house, Linda and Bob arrive in a van, both sipping from cans of beer and are considerably drunk. They go over the plan that Annie will distract Lindsay while they go to the bedroom upstairs to have sex, not knowing that Lindsay is at the Doyle house and that Annie is dead. The couple goes inside and falls onto the couch, kissing passionately, while Michael silently watches nearby. At this time, Linda calls Laurie from the Wallace house and asks where Annie is. Laurie replies that she went to pick up Paul and tells Linda to call when Annie gets back, as she needs to know what time to put Lindsay to bed. Enthusiastically, Linda hangs up the phone and tells Bob that Lindsay is gone for the night, and they run upstairs. After some time, Bob comes downstairs for a beer. As he gets 2 beers out of the refrigerator, he hears a noise. Suddenly, Michael jumps out and shoves him against the set of cabinets on the opposite wall and stabs a sharp knife through his stomach and into the wall. After killing Bob, Michael goes to Linda's room. Linda thinks that Bob is dressed as a ghost and asks him where the beer is. He won't answer, so she drops the sheet around her, exposing her breasts. When Michael still won't answer her, she becomes annoyed and takes the phone to call Lori. But just as she is about to speak, Michael comes behind her and strangles her to death. Lori puts the phone down and looks out the window as all the lights in the Wallace house turn off. Meanwhile, back at Myers' house, Dr. Loomis suddenly sees the Smiths Grove Sanitarium car and begins running down the street, sure of where Michael is. At the Doyle house, when Lori still receives no word from anyone, she grabs her keys and curiously ventures across the street. Upon reaching the front door of Wallace's house, she finds it locked and rings the doorbell. Since there is no response, Lori walks around the side of the house to the kitchen door. Going inside, she searches around for any signs of Annie, Linda, or Bob, thinking that has a trick. Not finding them anywhere, she walks upstairs and sees the light from a jack-o'-lantern streaming underneath the bedroom door. Opening it, she sees in horror Annie's lifeless body on the bed, with Judith Myers' headstone above her. In tears, Lori backs and screams against the closet as she finds Bob and Linda's bodies as well. While Lori runs out of the bedroom into the hallway, Michael reaches out with his knife and stabs her in the shoulder. Lori screams louder than ever and falls over the balcony railing, crashing down onto the staircase and spraining her ankle. Terrified, Lori smashes through the glass with her bare hand and knocks the rake over. Shoving the door open, she runs out of the house and stumbles into the yard. Michael chases Lori when she manages to escape and runs back across the street to Doyle's house. Since she had the lost key, she throws a potted plant at Tommy's window. He reaches the front door just in time and lets Lori in. She locks the door and orders Tommy to go upstairs. Turning out the lights, Lori believes that she is safe, but Michael leaps out from behind the couch and tries to stab her, but he misses and hits the couch instead. Lori grabs a knitting needle and swirls around, stabbing Michael in the neck. He staggers backward and hits the floor, apparently dead. Lori, nearly passing out because of blood loss, drops the knife that is still on the couch onto the floor and goes upstairs to check on the kids. Seeing Lori, Tommy and Lindsay run up to her, thinking that it was the boogeyman who attacked her. Michael then lumbers toward them, and Tommy and Lindsay run back into the bedroom. Lori grabs a wire hanger and stabs Michael in the eye with its point. He jumps back in pain and drops the knife into the closet. Lori takes it, clutching it in her hands, and stabs Michael in the chest. He falls to the ground, dead. Asking Tommy and Lindsay to come out, she tells them to go down the street to Mackenzie's house and tell them to call the police. They go outside screaming, attracting the attention of Dr. Loomis, who is outside, now running to the Doyle house. Inside, Lori is slumping against the doorway of the room where she was hiding. Tired and almost unconscious, she doesn't notice that Michael, thought to be dead, is slowly rising behind her. When Lori stands up, Michael stabs her by the neck and begins to strangle her. Lori fights back and pulls his mask off, revealing Michael's true face. Michael replaces his mask, but before Michael can strike, he is shot multiple times by Dr. Loomis and falls out the upper bedroom window as the sheriff stands there, mouth agape. When Dr. Loomis goes to the window, he sees that Michael must have miraculously survived the shots and the fall, as his body is nowhere to be found. The film ends with a shot of Myers' house and the sound of Michael's breathing heavily behind his mask.